Everyone in the medical space knows that there is this subtle rivalry between medical doctors and other healthcare professionals. No one admits it, but it's there. We see it in the wards, in the lecture halls, and in the way one specialty tries to outshine the others. From back in the days, it was always about who knew more and who deserved the most respect. Now imagine this, nurses and midwives suddenly get the chance to prove that doctors weren't always right and deserving. Imagine women having to beg midwives to attend to them instead of medical doctors. I know it sounds weird, right? Yeah, but it happened. It happened in Vienna, Austria, 1846. At Vienna General Hospital, there were two maternity clinics, the one manned by doctors and the other by midwives and nurses. Funnily enough, there was high number of maternal mortality in the clinic manned by medical doctors. Women would drop to their knees pleading to be admitted to the second clinic, the one manned by midwives. To them, stepping into the first clinic was like signing their death sentence. And statistically, they were right. 1 out of every 5 women never made it out alive. Then came a young Hungarian doctor, Ignaz Semmelweis, fresh out of medical school, newly appointed as an assistant in obstetrics. Curious, observant, and deeply disturbed, he asked, why are so many mothers dying after childbirth? He compared everything, the births, the ventilation, even the prayers said during delivery, but nothing explained the difference until tragedy struck closer to home. In 1847, his friend Jacob Koleska cut his finger with a scalpel during an autopsy and days later died of the same fever and the same symptoms as the women in the maternity ward. Then it hit him that doctors were carrying infectious materials from cadavers to mothers with their unwashed hands. Whatever killed Koleska was being carried from the dissecting room to the delivery bed. From the discovery, Semmelweis introduced hand disinfection with chlorinated lime before examination or deliveries, and the result was astonishing. Within weeks, the number of deaths in the clinic dropped from 18% to less than 2%, nearly the same as the midwives' ward. Mothers stopped dying. Babies went home with their mothers. The wards, once haunted by grief, filled with relief. But the ward was not ready to listen. His discovery was way ahead of his time. Doctors were outraged that Semmelweis suggested that they themselves were responsible for spreading death. Many of them argued that it was impossible, while others accused him of insulting the profession. The question at the time was, how can particles we cannot see cause diseases? Are you saying our hands are dirty? At the time, the germ theory did not exist. Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister were still years away from proving that microorganisms could cause infection. To most physicians, Semmelweis' idea sounded absurd or even offensive. He tried to publish his findings but faced hostility and ridicule. His superiors in Vienna General Hospital ignored him and went as far as not renewing his contract. Semmelweis returned to his hometown of Budapest, where he continued his medical practice and became the head of obstetrics at St. Rochus Hospital. He applied his method again and deaths nearly disappeared. His success was undeniable, yet the broader medical community still dismissed him. He even wrote open letters to doctors across Europe, accusing them of murdering women by refusing to wash their hands. Then in 1861, he published his life's work, The Etiology, Concepts and Prophylaxis of Childbirth Fever, a book dense with data, statistics, and plea after plea for reason. But few read it. Most still clung to old belief. These rejections broke him. In the mid-1860s, he began showing signs of mental illness, perhaps depression, perhaps the toll of isolation. In 1865, he was committed to an asylum in Vienna. He died at 47. Louis Pasteur proved that invisible microorganisms caused diseases. Joseph Lister introduced antiseptic surgery using carbolic acid, and suddenly, Semmelweis' work made perfect. The man labeled as mad was now reborn as a hero. Now, the cadaverous particles he described were bacteria. His chlorinated lime was the first antiseptic, and his insistence on hand washing became one of the foundations of modern medicine. Today, every hospital in the world enforces hand hygiene because of what he discovered. Now, every year, on October 15th, the world celebrates Global Handwashing Day, a movement dedicated to promoting hand hygiene as one of the most effective ways to prevent infection and save lives. This global campaign, led by organizations like UNICEF and WHO, stands with the same principle that Ignaz Semmelweis fought for in the 19th century. What Semmelweis proved through painful experience, that clean hands save lives, remains a cornerstone of global health today. Whether it's in hospitals, schools, or communities, proper hand washing continues to protect millions from diseases like cholera, diarrhea, influenza, and COVID-19. So when soap and water touch your hands, remember the young Hungarian doctor who was once ridiculed for suggesting such a simple act could prevent death. Global Hand Washing Day is not just about hygiene, it's a tribute to Ignaz Semmelweis. His legacy reminds us that the simplest habit, when done with care, can save the world one clean hand at a time.